My end tonight is, why does social justice not work in movies? This is a real thing. We're hearing a lot about diversity, and we need more diversity in Marvel Comics, we need diversity in comics. Oh, diversity doesn't work in comics, diversity is this. And here's what I'm going to say. There's nothing wrong with diversity or diverse superheroes, but there is something wrong with the ideology of diversity, ergo social justice, in comics. It just doesn't work. So this rant was inspired by this article that I saw on James Bond. Report: James Bond wife will refuse to take his name, and the phrase Bond girl has been banned from the set. So the new James Bond, the 007, is going to be a black woman, and it's going to be this, and it's this. The reason this isn't going to work is that's not James Bond. James Bond is a spy who saves the world, gets the girl, and all this. And it's just not going to work because that's not the character. And then there's been a lot of things been said recently. Like, oh, conservatives don't want politics in comics. And that's true. People saying get politics out of comics, that's not true. Comics can be political, right? X-Men is an allegory for 1960s racism. You know, The Watchmen, incredibly political, right? They work. What they cannot do is add in social justice ideology, because it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because comic books and comic book figures and superheroes are not just superheroes. Superheroes are American mythological creatures. What I mean by this is, don't think of Captain America as Captain America. Think of Captain America as Hercules. It's the same thing. It's a Greek myth. Why can't Hercules be a black Roman woman? Because Hercules is a Greek mythological hero. Why can't Zeus be a woman? Because Zeus is the king of the gods. These are deeply rooted cultural things. Superheroes go much, much deeper than just things in comics. And the reason why they appeal so much to our society is because they are our form of American mythology. This is, again, why they're so popular. Because they're mythology. And the reason why they're the only movies people go see now is because we're losing our history. We're not talking about our history in the West. So the only remnant we have of our history and culture are really these superheroes. So when Scorsese says, oh, superhero movies are trash. No, no. This is the old story. Yes, Odysseus and the Odyssey become classical now, but Odysseus back in the day is like more like Iron Man, right? These are stories you tell to kids. Why can't Odysseus be the person at home, and why can't Penelope go on the cruise? Because it wouldn't make sense to a Greek person, right? At the end of the Odyssey, right? The reason why women can't go on Odysseys with kids back in the day is because, well, the kids would die. We don't have breast formula, right? If you have a small child, you need the mother there to physically keep it alive. Right? You can't have that. Also, war, there's no guns. You need swords. You need to whack people, right? It's a male thing. It's just reality. And then, would it really make sense to an ancient Greek that Penelope gets home and her husband has all these suitors because he thinks she's dead, and then she murders them all? Now, it's a bit extreme, right? If you were to adapt that story to an American today audience, probably Odysseus doesn't come back and murder all his wife's suitors. But in ancient Greece, this is an archetype. It appeals to them. And that's what the Hulk is. The Hulk is the struggle between man and beast. Right? Now, look at American superheroes and just look at what they stand for. Right? Look at them. They're very individual. They stand on principles. They fight evil. Yes, Captain America is a leader, and he brings a team together in the Avengers. But Captain America is very individual when you think of it. He stands on principle, right? He takes action to save the wider society, right? When he disagrees with Iron Man over this the thing of registration or not, he is the man who says, I will stand the line here. I will do what is right, right? He is a leader. He is not a general behind the scenes. He's a general on the field, right? Even though he's a big team player, it's a very North American concept, a very Western concept, right? These are Western mythological creatures. They're not, you can't social justice them, right? This is why they're so popular, and this is also why identity politics doesn't work. Because when you make Captain Marvel, oh, she's woman, she's tough, whatever, right? It just doesn't work, because that's not real. Women aren't just great because they're women. Women can be great, women can be heroes, but they have to embody heroes. They have to be flawed. They have to stand for something. They have to struggle to overcome. Right? Odysseus went through trials and tribulations and made mistakes. And he's still a great hero. Right? Captain Marvel made no mistakes. Captain Marvel had no flaws. Captain Marvel was a strong woman. It just doesn't work. Women can be heroes. Black people can be heroes. Right? But they have to, in order to work, they have to go into the Western hero ethos. And it's not just Western heroes, and it's not we only love Western heroes. There are other cultures that do the same thing. Look at Dragon Ball Z. We all watched it as a kid. Dragon Ball Z is made in Japan. Japan's different than America, right? Think of Goku versus Captain America and the type of person they are, right? Dragon Ball Z, one of the more famous things is Goku does the training at 100 times weight. Goku's always training, right? They're always training to get better, training to get better. Very Japanese thing. Working, practicing, training, working harder, right? Goku's big speech when he fights Frieza is he is the embodiment of hope in the universe. He represents something. He's a symbol of the other, right? He is not standing as an individual against evil. He is standing as a part of the collective, right? Goku's big move, the Spirit Bomb, draws energy from the wider culture and brings balance, right? He is the balance to Frieza, good versus evil. It's not what Captain America does. Captain America stands as a man against evil and sets a principle. Goku stands as army, right? Goku doesn't even need to be the hero. At the end of the thing against Cell, he says, "Oh, I'm not even going to fight." Right? Goku's also a terrible father, leaves his kids all the time, but says, "Oh no, it's not my job to fight this. Here, Gohan, you go and fight." It's not. There's still Americans loved it, but you just look at it, right? This is a Japanese mythological creature. It doesn't work if you were to make Goku an American, right? Goku can be white, but he can't be Western, right? It has to have the same values. This is why it works. So yeah, like superheroes could be black, superheroes could be white, superheroes could be Muslim, Asian, but they can't be standing on transgenderism. They can't be going against the foundations of Western culture because that's who they are. They're Western mythological creatures. So the biggest thing of this is, they want to talk about making Magneto a black man. Well, Magneto can't be black, even though Magneto is an allegory for a black man. Magneto represents Malcolm X. Professor X is MLK, right? It's an allegory for racism. But the reason why Magneto is such a great villain is he is a Holocaust survivor. And his whole ideology is, my family was rounded up, my people were rounded up by the evils of man and slaughtered. We cannot let this happen again. It is an extreme of the never again. I will kill everyone who isn't part of my group because they will come kill me. Right? This is sort of the Malcolm X. And Professor X is the MLK, preaching coexistence, working with humans and X-Men, togetherness, right? Professor X can be black. Magneto can't. Because the story doesn't make sense, right? The motivation. People, Killmonger is the greatest villain ever, the Black Panther guy. He's Diet Magneto, right? He has to be a Jewish Holocaust survivor in order for the allegory to make sense. And the allegory is about racism and blacks. See, this is why the diversity ideology makes no sense. Magneto being Jewish and white makes more sense and does a better job of explaining the struggles for black civil rights than it would be if he was black. If you were to make Magneto black, you lose the very ideological foundation that made the argument, made the cultural push for the civil rights movement against racism. There's something much deeper to these superheroes than people realize because they are American myths. And this is why we love them in our society. So if you just change them, if you change the very foundations on which they stand, right? If you take the women heroes and just make them strong, powerful, feminist women, well, they're not going to be heroes. We have female superheroes, but they're flawed. They make mistakes. They have fears. They overcome. They balance their femininity and their warrior spirit. Wonder Woman, right? We can have female heroes. We can have black heroes. But you can't erode the foundations on which they stand and replace it with social justice, diversity ideology. That is what people are so angry about. That's what crumbles them. Because a lot of the foundations which they stand are actually pro-civil rights. But you rip away those foundations, which the left loves to do, and you're left with absolute garbage, and those never work.